What's going on, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Two Guys Talk Sports. We are coming to you live from the studio here in Waterford, Michigan. A great change of pace for the two of us. This is our first time ever recording in a live studio. Now, without further ado, we're going to get this show on the road. We're going to talk about a topic that is really, it's making a lot of news and kind of maybe not the best way possible. So to begin things, another year of NASCAR come and gone. Another championship decided. Congrats to Joey Logano, by the way, on winning the title. Now, the reason NASCAR fans are really not, it's another one of those years where NASCAR fans are not happy is it's this championship format where you get 16 drivers in the final 10 races competing for a championship, and after every 3 races, 4 drivers are eliminated, and then in the final round, of course, or the final race, there's 4 drivers left to compete for the championship. And one of the big problems that the fans have with this format is the driver who runs the fastest all season wins the most races, is the most consistent and builds like the best results, top 5s, top 10s. They're not always in the championship 4 at the end of the season. And it's really divided the fan base in terms of like appreciating this championship format. So Tyler, this is a question that I've had on my mind. I talked about this in my Wax on Wednesday video this week. I talked about changes that I would make to the championship format. So, Tyler, I want to turn this to you. And my question to you is, what, if any, do you like this format? And what, if anything, about this format would you change? Would you give the winner more points or each race winner more points? Or what would you change?
It's really hard to say what to change about it. The fact that Joey Logano only got a chance to become the champion to begin with because of a disqualification at Charlotte. Had the 48 not gotten disqualified, Logano would not have been in the playoff, in the championship 4 to begin with.
Yeah.
Or even the round of 8 for that matter.
Absolutely. People forget that. This year's champion, it's crazy talking about. This year's champion got in on a technicality. Like Tyler mentioned, the 48 had a penalty in the 6th race, which eliminated the next 4 drivers. If not for this penalty, this year's champion wouldn't have even been in NASCAR's version of the Final 4. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's simple. The championship 4 is very simple. First driver of the highest of the 4 wins it all. But the thing is, like you said, not all the driver that wins the most races might not necessarily be involved if they have a couple bad races in one of particular stretches the rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't in case Tyler you didn't see what I talked about. So, I'm kind of more of a traditionalist. When I was younger, I used to watch NASCAR a lot, and I kind of grew up in the early era of the chase where there were just 10 drivers. But here's the thing: if I'm running NASCAR, I would all right, we're going to go back to a traditional format. 36 races, and the guy who has the most points at the end of all 36 races wins the title. But I would add a few twists to it. So what I would do is I would actually gap the amount of points between, say, first and second. So, for example, like the winner, let's say you award 100 points to the winner of the race of each race. And then second gets, I would say, we'll go 90. And then I would give the person who finishes third about 80 points. So kind of a gap in between. And then, so for lack of better words, then between like say 4th and 5th, it's like a 5-point gap. And then maybe a 3-point gap between like the positions 6 through 10. And then maybe one for the rest of the positions going forward to kind of help bridge things out. I think with a format like that where you're awarding many more points to the race winner, I think what could happen is you would see a lot of drivers. You could create excitement like that. You could have drivers just going for it, or crew chiefs just rolling the dice like crazy, trying to get all the points they can. But I think this is a format that could award the driver or the team that wins the most races every year, or is at least the most consistent. That's kind of where I'm going at with this. And one other change I would make is for the big name races like the Daytona 500, I would take like the IndyCar approach and go double points, like 200 for the race winner, for lack of better words. So this is just kind of where I'm leaning towards the format. What are your thoughts on this, Tyler?
I also grew up in both the old format, pre-2000 for and the various playoffs implications as a NASCAR fan. I've seen it all. I've seen the expansion of the playoffs. I've seen the traditional 36 race format, and each has. I feel like there's some merits and there's some drawbacks, especially with the 36 race format. When you get towards September, October, and November, with the NFL being so dominant.
Absolutely. I agree with that. 36 races is a lot, and it is a long season, so I can kind of And I will also say this, if NASCAR, has to stick with a chase format, then I would go with, the 10-man format. Get 10 drivers and the 10 best drivers each year, and then have them race without any other, additions to, or changes into the points. I thought that format, while I'm not the biggest fan of the chase, I thought the 10-man format, the first one we had, that was a very underrated format. And I think in its own little way, it did produce some excitement.
And it did. But, of course, NASCAR said they could be looking into changes. So we'll see what they consider with. I kind of agree with your format as it is, because there's something off how it was back then. It worked well for so long. But, like I said, the NFL is a problem.
Absolutely. I agree. And we also have to remember, NASCAR is a motorsport. And I think motorsports, they just got to be their own unique series. Don't need any changes. They don't need to be like stick and ball sports. We don't need to. That's kind of why I'm we don't need a playoff format. Let the racing speak for itself. If you like I said, award more points to the drivers, and that'll generate some excitement. We will see crazy races. But Tyler, I think we're both in agreement that there needs to be some changes, because this format, it just doesn't really work in terms of producing a legitimate champion, someone who really earned it. Any final thoughts, Tyler?
Like what? Like you said, we are in agreement. And, of course, it doesn't help that Joey Logano isn't exactly the most likable.
Yeah, that's actually true. And that, not to mention, the driver who won the championship this year, Joey Logano, in the old points format, he would have been 15th in points. Mind-blowing.
Ouch.
Well, that's my thoughts on this subject. And all right, Tyler, I believe you got something that you really have on your mind that you want to speak to the audience about. So I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you there, Jake. Well, it's hard to believe, but the entity Diamond Sports Group somehow managed to end Chapter 11 bankruptcy yesterday in federal bankruptcy court in Houston, Texas. They will still be airing various baseball teams, including the Tigers, hockey and Wings and Pistons, and the NBA, and other various teams. All the MLB teams they do have the right to, including the Tigers, Cardinals, Braves, and Angels, they were able to retain or get the rights to streaming on their streaming app system without cable. And they're also making it so you can pay for $7.99 a month for a single game, or $19.99 a month for FanDuel Sports, as they now call it, FanDuel Sports Network. That's going to take some getting used to. But there's also the opportunity to pay for it as an add-on through Amazon Prime Video. That's one way they're going to help to increase distribution.
Absolutely. So while I don't understand entirely how bankruptcy works, one of the things I do understand is, so in the case of Diamond Sports, they're pretty much repivoting or restructuring everything. So they're or whatever money they do have, it's going a lot of different places from what I understand. And that's going to help them in a way while they try to make up for their debt.
Yep.
And one other thing I noticed is, Tyler, there are some teams that may actually restructure their deal with Diamond. Is that correct?
That is correct. Now, some of the teams aren't coming back. The Rangers are going a direct their own streaming model. The Guardians, Twins, Brewers initially joined MLB's in-market streaming on MLB.TV. Reds just joined them as well. Only team that doesn't have a deal yet is the Royals. I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the FanDuel Sports.
Time will tell there. So, like you mentioned, a lot of restructuring. And also, sometimes thinking about this, I was looking up this earlier this morning as we talked about it. And one other thing is, one thing I wonder too, Tyler, do ticket sales, have they kind of had an impact on whether or not these teams are able to restructure their deal with Diamond Sports or a different approach?
It's not so much the tickets, it's cable access that's being a bit of a problem. This network doesn't have the channels. Xfinity is now on a pricier package. Sling Network TV doesn't have them because they're owned by Dish. YouTube TV and Hulu plus Live TV don't have them as well.
That's what I was kind of wondering about. I know that, like I said, cable's losing a lot of channels, and also customers are dropping it, which doesn't help because everybody would just like to watch live sports as we all desired. So, really, it's a fascinating topic, and like this is something I know I say this over and over again, but we're in the future now. This is it. This is the future of sports. Now we got other companies like Amazon and FanDuel, as you mentioned. They're stepping in. They are doing whatever they can to acquire these rights, whatever money they can make off of it. It's really fascinating.
Now, the thing to consider is how long are these deals going to last? The current MLB national media rights expire in 2028. Could a streamer or something, partner up with many of the teams affected on MLB.TV or through FanDuel Sports Network and get the local MLB rights as well as whatever any national games and all? That's something to watch out for in the next few years.
Most certainly. I think I read somewhere that maybe one or more of these TV deals goes, I think, to about 2028, if I'm correct. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But
that's what I'm hearing, too.
Yeah. So, like you said, Ty, it's going to be interesting. And will the restructuring and contract negotiations for beyond 2028, will it start? I wonder, will it start like before then? Time will tell.
I imagine they will. Now, to also consider is, I'm sure the NBA and NHL rights will still continue because the MLB rights are continuing. For how long, who knows?
Absolutely. I guess before we move on to the final subject, one more question I'd like to ask you, Tyler. What should those who watch this podcast, at least we hope we get some viewers, but what should sports fans, if anything else, what should sports fans know about all of this, if anything else?
It might not affect you in various markets. Like, if you're in a market that has a team like on an NBC Sports Network, like in parts of California and Philadelphia, this doesn't affect you. Not every MLB team has in-market streaming, like in Washington, Baltimore, New York, Seattle. They don't have in-market streaming. I kind of worry about how that's going to be impacted as cable continues to decline. But if you're in a market like in Detroit where you have FanDuel Sports Network and you don't have it on a system like YouTube TV, you can just buy it off of FanDuel Sports Network for $19 a month or add on to it with Amazon Prime whenever that goes on sale. And I imagine it'll be $20 for the add-on, but we'll see.
Yes, we will. I'll be keeping an eye on the Chicago and the Indianapolis sports markets. So there will be times where I will start to wonder when streaming apps like this will be more involved with cities like Indy and Chicago. A lot of the sports teams I like.
It's funny you mentioned Chicago.
Go ahead.
The new Chicago Sports Network just launched a new in-market streaming system standalone.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember you telling me about that.
It just came out today, so.
Oh, that's right. I forgot all about that, but appreciate that, Tom.
Yeah, that might help them if they can keep having issues with getting the large Comcast on board as the largest cable provider in the city, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess another thing I wonder before we close the subject out is how will sponsorships affect these TV deals, if any? That is one thing I will wonder.
One thing to consider is the FanDuel naming rights obviously include guaranteed advertising. So
There you go. Anything else you'd like to say about this subject, Tyler?
some of us hoped that we would be able to have the games on LB.TV in market, but this feels more like a decent stopgap measure until we get towards the end of the decade. We'll see what happens going forward.
Yes, we will. And this is something that all these things I'll be looking more into as time goes on.
All right, Jake, you got a very good topic you're looking forward to talking about.
Oh, yeah. This next topic, all right, sports fans, I'm ready to unleash about this. So I'm a biased Purdue fan. I'll confess that to you. And there's a player that just got drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies not too long ago. One Zach Edey by name. Of course, he now is in his first season in the NBA, coming off a historic senior season at Purdue University, or as a part of the Purdue men's basketball team. And, all right, I hear this all the time about Zach Edey. There's always a lot of criticism. Like, he gets a lot of criticism no matter what he does. Like, no matter how good he is. You know, people just like to hate on a guy like him. And the biggest criticism I hear about Zach Edey, he's just tall. I hear that all the time. It's like a broken record or something. But based on what I've seen so far, and I've watched quite a bit of Zach Edey in the NBA, and so far, and a lot of people also said he's not going to be able to adjust to this NBA speed, or he's too tall for the NBA. Well, so far, here's the thing. He's averaging around 12 points a game and 6 rebounds a game. Right now, he's doing pretty well. He's adapting to the speed, and bigger than that is kind of the contributions that he puts on the court. And it's not just in scoring, but he does a lot of other things. Like in college, he was really good about taking contact, and so far, that's one element of his game that has transferred. There's a particular clip that I brought with me today. Is there any chance we could roll that clip? All right. Here we go.
There's that walk-up three again. This time it's way off, but Edey with the offensive rebound.
We'll watch it again shortly. So what Zach Edey does right there. So he gets into the paint, gets the rebound, then gets the ball to the, and then back, and then right here, gets on in there, draws the contact. That's one of the things that Zach Edey, he does really well. Thank you for sharing that clip. So
Yes, that is much appreciated.
So, all right, Tyler, I'll let you go right ahead instead of me rambling on. What's your thoughts on Zach Edey?
Well, first of all, to the criticism of him being too tall, you kind of want to be tall in the NBA, you know.
Yes, you do. And I was just going to say, so from what we've seen, what we see in that clip, that's Zach Edey. One of the things he does so well, even when he's not like scoring a lot of points, he's not afraid to go on in there and work the glass and spread the ball around. And then when it comes back to him, he is so good at doing whatever it takes to drive inside and draw contact. That's something he did really well in his Purdue days. And one of the things, and also from that clip, from what we see there, is Zach. Everyone's saying the NBA is so fast these days, it's going away from traditional centers. Well, Zach Edey is so far, I think he is proving that wrong from what I've seen.
And that's good. You don't have to be a guy who scores a lot of points and is averaging triple doubles and all. You can still be a key contributor of your team, even if you're causing those offensive fouls or defensive fouls.
There you go. So, and another thing, this is also what we're seeing also here, and what we saw in that clip also, that is what Zach Edey has gone through in his time at Purdue, the development that he's gone through. And here's the thing, like Tyler said, centers don't always have to score a lot of points. Granted, okay, Edey had in the Elite Eight against Tennessee, he did have 40 points, but sometimes an even more valuable impact that a center can have is they can control the paint. And even when the shot does not go in, they can work that glass. They can go get the ball for you and get it into the hands of other players. And of course, he did that a lot at Purdue. Like when he was like double or even triple team, like he draws a lot of the coverage. Double, triple teams. I know we didn't see that in that clip, but there's plenty of highlights out there where he's just getting like double teamed and still finding ways to have an impact on this game, or the game of basketball as we know it. So, and go ahead, Tyler. What else you got?
Yeah, like what you just said, that stuff is all super important for him these days. You don't just go to college and play basketball. Obviously, you gotta do good on your studies, mind you, but it's important to develop as a basketball player regardless.
Absolutely. And for those of you wondering, Edie did go 4 years to college. And from what I understand, he did graduate with a degree. So good for him there. And also, from what I've also seen on the defensive side of things, he's improved there too. Like, I know I didn't bring a clip with me, but there's one particular clip that I saw where he got blocked, and then Anthony Davis went down the court on the other end, and Edie actually got back and blocked his shot, which was really amazing. So, yes, the NBA is a fast game, but also Zach Edey so far is showing that he is adapting to this game, and he's learning as things go on. This is a basketball player that I would keep my eyes on, folks. Yes, I'm a Purdue fan, but I'm also telling you this guy is going to be good. And if you're a Purdue fan like me, Zach Edey doing as well as he's doing in the NBA right now, this comes as actually no surprise. Those who say like he's just tall or he's not fast enough for the NBA or he won't be able to play defense. Of course, the NBA, they struggle to play. Defense is just optional in the NBA from what I've seen. But Zach Edey, he can play defense at the NBA level, of course. But this is the criticisms that have come from Zach Edey, or not from Zach Edey, but towards Zach Edey, like he's just tall, all that stuff. That's from people who really just haven't paid attention to basketball.
I agree. It just doesn't seem exactly fair. There's plenty of highlights you can watch online as well. So that's more you can see on him besides just the 10 seconds we just showed you.
Absolutely. So, and to close off this subject, this guy is going to be a lot of fun to watch in the NBA. Being a Purdue fan, of course, we Purdue fans were spoiled by Zach Edey. We had a lot of fun watching him. I know there are other fan bases out there that really just didn't enjoy watching his style of basketball, dribbling the post, draw contact and all that stuff. But, he's adapting to the NBA game. And by the way, one other thing I want to mention, he didn't shoot a lot of threes in college. He wasn't a very prolific three-point shooter. He only took two three-pointer shots and made one of them. So he's, a 50% three-point shooter, but he really only took two. But from what I've seen, in that part of his game, he's adapted as well. He's taking more three-pointers at the very least. And that's something that's critical going to, if you want to develop in the NBA, you want to stay in the NBA, you got to be able to shoot threes. And the thing is, he's adapting. He's changing his game. He's taking with him the things he's learned from Purdue, but also changing to play at the NBA level. And it's extraordinary to watch. So to close off this subject or final subject, Zach Edey, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy watching him play basketball. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tyler, any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, I can't really say much about Zach Edey and all there, but I hope he does well. We'll see what happens down the road.
Absolutely.
Does he give Memphis a championship that one day? We'll see. Does he go to another team to win a championship? We'll see.
Yes, we will. Time will tell. I do know this for sure, He's in a good spot in Memphis. Him going number 9 overall to Memphis, I thought that's a good spot for him because he's surrounded by a team. He's got talent all around him and guys that can help him out, like John Morant, as everybody knows. But so far, I think he's going to develop well because he's in a good situation. And you know what? He played 4 years of basketball at Purdue. And hey, I always believe this: the more time you take in college, whether it's football or basketball, the better you're going to do because you've spent more, or the better chance you have at success because you've spent more time developing your craft. So to finally close this off, like I said, Zach Edey, enjoy, sports fans.
Yeah, same here. I mean, you look at someone else like even LeBron James' son, he's already down in developmental in the G League. It's not off to a good start for Bronny.
Honestly. Okay. Honestly, when I look back on that one, to respond to what Tyler said, when I look back on that, I'm just going to be honest. I know deep down inside, okay, the Lakers drafting Bronny James, that was LeBron's decision. That was LeBron being the general manager. I think LeBron's the general manager there. Let's just be honest. That's how I feel about it. Anything else you'd like to say, Tyler?
It may have been a cool story for the opener, but nowadays calling into question his his time so far. It's not starting off well if you're going into the G League.
Yeah, let's just be real. It was a move made to appease the king, but right now for the Los Angeles Lakers, that's blowing up in their face. Oh man,
Not good at all.
yeah, I know. Is there anything else you got on your mind, Tyler, before we sign off?
Well, Lions have been doing pretty good again, despite 5 interceptions thrown by Jared Goff against Houston until the second half. The Lions still ran to win, thanks to former brick salesman turned kicker Jake Bates' 2 crucial field goals late in the fourth quarter to first tie it and then win. Now they had to home to face the Jaguars at Ford Field on Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yeah, I'd like to add on to that too. So so Jared Goff, as Tyler mentioned, had 5 interceptions in that game against Houston. But what we saw in that game, that Lions comeback, that's the sign of a championship caliber team. Because championship caliber teams, they could find a way to come back and win football games, even when the quarterback is having one of the worst games of his career with 5 interceptions. But this is a Lions team that could come back from any adversity. And hey, they're favorites to go to the Super Bowl at the very least this year. As long as they don't beat themselves, they can get there. They've got all the know-how. And Dan Campbell, hey, he knows how to keep things rolling, even when somebody's having an off day.
Same with Aaron Glenn on the defense as well. That defense really did their part when Jared Goff was having his issues on Sunday night.
Yes, they did. They played well. I mean, okay, so you could say all you want about, Houston blew a 23-7 lead. But, hey, Detroit, they stuck with their game plan. And you know what? They took advantage when Houston could not finish. And once again, another sign of a really great football team.
Agreed.
Now, okay. All right, sports fans. I'll tell you this. My Bears are not doing too well. They just fired Shane Waldron. Yes, that happened, but I just don't see much changing going into the rest of the season. And we still got to play Detroit. That might be miserable for me.
Miserable for you?
Yeah, I know. Good for you.
Sorry, I just had to.
I don't blame you.
Talk there.
That's what we may be united on talking sports, but in terms of our sports interest, me and Tyler have very different interests. So, and I will say this: we got to play Green Bay on Sunday, and I know we're gonna have a new offensive coordinator, but I don't know. My optimism is just low. Here's the thing: it was not enough. Firing Shane Waldron, no, not enough. They should have let go of Eberflus because he's the one that brought in Shane Waldron in the first place. When they could have brought in, they should have fired Matt Eberflus last year because. Here's the thing. If you're going to draft a quarterback anyways, you might as well get a different coach. That's what the Bears should have done. That's what Ryan Poles, the general manager, should have done. And he didn't do that, and that's why we are here, right? That's where the Bears are, bad news Bears, that's why they're in this situation, because it's always one thing after another. Always one mistake. Hope, what is that for the Chicago Bears? I don't know.
To think that team was hyped to do decently back in August.
And by me, admittedly. Just new quarterback, new optimism, and he's struggling too. He's got problems with accuracy. That's what he needs to work on, his accuracy, and he can't always do all that stuff that he did in college or at USC. Nope. Of course, it's also not all his fault, as he's got probably, if not the worst, one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And that certainly is going to kill his confidence. And Shane Waldron did not help with the offensive line either with the play calling. Receivers can't get open. Defense is doing okay for the Bears, but nothing much more is going well for us.
No. Those takes of the Bears being good, even yours, they definitely age like milk.
It stinks so bad, right? I will tell you that. I made that take did not age all that well. And, but you know what? That's life as a Bears fan. What else is new?
It's about as bad as trying to find where you're going to build your replacement for Soldier Field.
Yeah. Are we going to Arlington Heights, or are we staying? Can we just get something settled? And honestly, why are we worried so much about building the stadium? Shouldn't we be worried about actually turning the team around instead of like, we're the new. Look, I know Soldier Field is like over 20 years old, but there are bigger problems with the Chicago Bears than the new stadium. And right now, the direction of the team, that's the biggest problem right now. That's where Kevin Warren's focus, that's where Ryan Poles' focus should be. And the McCaskies, that's where their focus needs to be. And I just don't know if that's where it is.
I'm not too sure about that either. I mean, we always said things around Detroit about the Ford family but under Sheila Ford helm, things have been going great for us. So her leadership for once had made me appreciate a member of the Ford family for being good with this team. Can't believe I'm saying that, but here we are. And that's why we were one win away from the Super Bowl last year. We're leading the NFC North now. We're NFC favorites to make the Super Bowl.
Yep, that's right. That's all it takes sometimes. Accountability and a person who puts their time into the craft and knows what they're doing. That's the difference between the Lions right now and the Bears. The Lions have a know-how at the top running the organization. The Bears, I can't say the same. Like Ryan Poles, he might be, I like to think he knows what he's doing, but the rest above him, I don't trust. I mean, Poles has done a great job building a good roster for Chicago, but what good's a good roster if you don't have a coach that knows how to coach them to the maximum? It kills me.
And in reference to that loss against the Commanders, make sure your players don't taunt the opposing fans before the Hail Mary is thrown.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tyreek Stevenson. Now, in all seriousness, I think that Hail Mary broke up. I think that broke the Bears this year. Just stick a fork in the Bears. They're done. And that Hail Mary is the reason why. That's the way I'm just going to look at it. Bad news Bears. Ugh. Anything else on your mind, T?
Well, not really. I mean, but I did see, like I said, on Wednesday night, the Wings didn't. The Wings won 3-2 in Pittsburgh against the Penguins on Wednesday night. Came back despite the Penguins' comeback in the second and third periods, but now the team is in the West Coast and playing the Ducks tonight at 10 p.m.
Nice. All right. Well, I don't expect much from the Blackhawks this season. They had their own West Coast swing not too long ago against Anaheim and L.A. and actually put together two really nice wins. So right now, in terms of the Blackhawks, okay, Connor Bedard, he's struggling in terms of goal scoring. Everything else he's doing really well. He just hasn't been able to score a lot. But the Blackhawks recently, they put together some really nice wins, even following that loss to the Red Wings 4-1. That was not a good game, but they responded pretty nicely to that game. So this is a team, okay, there's improvement. All right, there's progress with the Blackhawks. It's still going to take some time. We got to get Connor Bedard going in terms of like scoring goals. He'll figure it out. But he's actually doing a really good job helping to set up goals as well. So overall, like, the team's improving. I'm seeing improvement. But like I said, still a ways to go.
A championship caliber team takes time to build.
Yes, it does.
It's like Rome. It wasn't built in a day.
Hey, and neither were like teams like the Lions, or neither were teams like, the 2016 Cubs. It all takes time.
And it does.
And know-how.
And it does.
It does. Anything else on your mind, T?
Not that I could think of off the top of my head.
All right. Sports fans, I just want to say this has been fun. Me and Tyler have had a blast talking to you. So for now, we are going to sign off. So thank you for watching so much. This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Take care, everyone. We're signing off.